Rajneesh, also known as Acharya Rajneesh and later as Osho, was an Indian spiritual leader, mystic and founder of Rajneesh movement. His birth name was Chandra Mohan Jain. He was born on 11th December 1931 in a small village of Madhya Pradesh state in India to parents Babulal and Saraswati Jain. Rajneesh was the eldest of 11 children born. Rajneesh lived with his maternal grandparents until he was 8 years old. When he was 8 years old, his grandfather died and he went to Gadarwara to live with his parents. Rajneesh was profoundly affected by his grandfather's death and again by the death of his childhood girlfriend and cousin Sasi from typhoid when he was just 15. He was an intelligent but rebellious child. In his school years, he gained a reputation as a formidable debater. He questions the existing religious, cultural and social norms in the society. Rajneesh became critical of traditional religion, took an interest in many methods to expand consciousness, including breath control, yogic exercise, meditation, fasting, the occult and hypnosis. He was fond of learning. He read all of the books in the library. In 1951, aged 19, Rajneesh began his studies at Hitkarini College in Jabalpur. Asked to leave after conflicts with an instructor, he transferred to D N Jain College, which was also in Jabalpur. Having proved himself to be disruptively argumentative, he was not required to attend college classes at D N Jain College except for examination and used his free time to work for a few months as an assistant editor at a local newspaper. In 1953, when he was 21 years old, after taking a year off from his studies to soul search and meditate, Rajneesh claimed that he had achieved enlightenment. He returned to school, however, and after graduating with a bachelor degree in philosophy, he went on to pursue a master's in philosophy at Sagar University. Following his graduation in 1957, Rajneesh accepted a position as an assistant professor of philosophy at Raipur Sanskrit College, but his radical ideas soon put him at odds with the institution administration and he was forced to find work elsewhere, eventually becoming a professor at the University of Jabalpur. Concurrent with his teaching at the University of Jabalpur, Rajneesh traveled throughout India, spreading his unconventional and controversial ideas about spirituality. Among his teachings was the notion that sex was the first step toward achieving superconsciousness. By 1964, he started conducting meditation camps and recruiting followers, and in 1966, he resigned from his professorship to focus more fully on spreading his spiritual teachings. He criticized Orthodox Indian religions as dead, filled with empty ritual, oppressing their followers with fears of divine punishment and promises of blessing. Such statements made him controversial, but also gained him a loyal following that included a number of wealthy merchants and businessmen and paid him donations. According to him, religion is an art that shows how to enjoy life. Rajneesh's secretary, Lakshmi Thakarsi Kuruwa, who was the daughter of one of his followers, a wealthy Jain who was Osho's Rajneesh's first disciple, was named Ma Yoga Lakshmi by Rajneesh. In 1970, Rajneesh introduced the practice of dynamic meditation, which he claimed enables people to experience divinity. The prospect enticed young Westerners to come reside at his ashram in Pune, India, and become Rajneesh's devout disciples called sannyasins. In their quest for spiritual enlightenment, Rajneesh's followers took new Indian names, dressed in orange and red cloths, and participated in group sessions that sometimes involved both violence and sexual activities. By the late 1970s, the 6-acre ashram was so overcrowded that Rajneesh sought a new site to relocate it. While Rajneesh was revered by his followers, he was considered immoral and controversial by the more conservative faction of the society. his major talks and preaching include sexuality. He advocated an open, free and straight attitude towards sex. For this, he was criticized by the Indian press. In the process, he earned himself the nickname the Sex Guru. He mostly spoke about his original analysis and the views on the writings of religious traditions, mystics and philosophers from around the world, due to which he soon started attracting Westerners. While Osho had been gaining momentum with the Indian masses, the government, under the rule of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, was not fond of the Guru, his cult or his ashram. The government of India had opened investigation into multiple allegations of criminal behavior in connection to Osho. These included charges related to Osho-sanctioned prostitution, international drug trafficking, gold smuggling, money laundering and tax evasion. As ordered by the government, he had to pay back his taxes, a major blow to his reputation that greatly angered Osho and his followers. During this time, Rajneesh's right-hand person and secretary was Sila. Sila instantly became devoted to Rajneesh after meeting him when she was just 16 years old. Sila soon became a favorite of the Guru, and Rajneesh began to relay some of his most trusted advice, instruction and responsibilities in Sila's direction. Sila helped convince Rajneesh to come to America and manage the commune while also being the president of the Rajneesh Foundation International. Soon after making this decision, Rajneesh took an oath of silence. It was left to Sila to procure passport for the Guru, herself, as well as some of their most trusted and important disciples. Successfully managing to arrange for these, Sila, Osho and a few others left India for Oregon, United States in June 1981. Facing ongoing pressure from Indian government authorities and traditional religious groups, in 1981, Rajneesh fled to United States with 2,000 of his disciples, settling on a 100 square mile ranch in central Oregon, which he named Rancho Rajneesh. There, Rajneesh and the sannyasins started building their own city called Rajneeshpuram. Thousands of homeless people were being joined into Rajneeshpuram to live and work in the commune. Followers claimed this was a massive new charity being performed by the group to give homeless people another chance at life. Critics of the group claimed the homeless were being shipped to the area to boost voting for the members of religious group. The leaders of the Rajneeshpuram wanted to start getting members elected in the government position to give the group help with certain things, but they would need more people to vote for the members in order to get elected. This was the reason homeless people were being moved to the location and registering to vote. The people of Rajneeshpuram wanted to take over the local government. Around this area, there were people who belonged to conservative Christian families. So when Rajneeshis began to pour into what they considered their land with their free sex, open marriages and alien concepts, the local began to turn hostile. In the mid-1980s, relations between the commune and the local government community became tense, and it was revealed that the commune members had been engaging in variety of serious crime ranging from wiretapping to voter fraud. Rajneesh's right hand, Sila, was a fearless and ruthless leader in Rajneeshpuram and made many media appearances to troll the neighboring towns and those who hated the Rajneesh people. She was looked by many as someone who shouldn't be crossed, but her crimes started catching up with her. Unknown to those in the commune, Sila had established a secret listening post near the commune's telephone center, and all calls into and out of Rajneeshpuram were taped. In 1984, Sila attempted to influence a local election by using hundreds of homeless people and registering them to vote. After the plan failed, she arranged for Rajneesh scientists to contaminate food at local restaurant to make people sick before the election. Salsa bars, vegetable and salad bars, tabletop creamers and other food at a dozen local restaurants and supermarkets were contaminated with salmonella. Salmonella, a kind of bacteria, if contacted with food, can cause one of the worst forms of food poisoning. Nobody died, but more than 750 people were sickened due to this action. Sheila was also accused of wiretaping and attempted murder. They had hoped that if enough people were sick during the election, they could throw it to get their leaders in. This was done as a part of a ploy to unfairly win election against the local government by ensuring that a majority of voters wouldn't be able to turn up to vote. The plot didn't work, though, because the locals were angry, turned out to vote against the Rajneesh people after suspecting it was them who caused the illness. The Rajneesh people are responsible for one of the largest recorded marriage fraud cases in the United States. It is said that there were more than 400 false marriages perpetrated by the Rajneeshis. The immigration fraud was believed to be headed by Sheila when they moved to America. The marriages were between US citizens and visiting foreigners. They were created to give the foreigners permanent residence in the United States and bypass American laws. United States authorities were aware of the possible illegal marriages, though, and the Rajneesh people could feel the pressure. After Rajneeshpuram fell apart, US police allegedly discovered an armory of over 100 weapons. Tensions had begun to mount between Rajneesh and Sheila, who up until then was still widely considered the public face of the Rajneesh campaign. Following an assassination attempt on Osho's personal physician, Sheila and a small group of her followers quickly left Rajneeshpuram. This greatly angered Osho and turned him against her. While Sheila took refuge in Germany, Osho broke his vow of silence in 1984 and laid the blame for all the charges pointed his way on Sheila and a group of fascists. The authorities, meanwhile, were waiting for the perfect moment to capture both Osho and Sheila. Following the sensational revelation, several of the commune leaders fled to escape the police. Opportunity struck when, in an abrupt move, Osho and a few of his disciples took off from Rajneeshpuram. According to a UPI article from 1985, when the plane stopped to refuel at Charlottesville at 2 a.m. on 28 October, Osho and 13 others traveling with him were instantly arrested. Sheila and the 2 others were arrested in West Germany. The religious cult stayed in a legal battle with the US over the immigration fraud, but they eventually lost the fight. Several people were arrested for immigration fraud, admitting that the marriages were a trick to allow followers to settle in Oregon with Rajneesh. Pleaded guilty of immigration charge and agreed to leave the United States, Rajneesh was ordered to pay a $400,000 fine and was not allowed to re-enter the United States. In 1986, Sheila pleaded guilty to attempted murder, wiretapping, immigration fraud, and engineering a salmonella outbreak. She was released from prison early for good behavior. The controversial guru was accused of brainwashing his followers. Osho owned 98 Rolls Royces, all of which were donated by his disciples. When people asked him why he didn't donate them to the poor, he said, "Every religion in the world is taking care of the poor. Why can't they just let me take care of the rich?" A man fond of luxuries, he would famously drive around the area in his favorite car while his devotees would stand on the road in a massive queues waiting to catch a glimpse of the guru. Over the next several months, he traveled to several countries around the world, including Nepal, Ireland, Uruguay, and Jamaica, but he was not allowed to stay in any of the countries for long. He was denied entry into numerous countries before returning again to India in 1986. During the next few years, he continued to teach and renamed himself Osho, but his health began to decline. Osho continued his teaching and died on January 9, 1990 in Pune from a heart attack. Some sources say he was killed by the government of America. His ashram in Pune is today known as Osho International Meditation Resort. It is one of India's main tourist attractions and is visited by about 200,000 people from around the world each year. Osho Rajneesh was an Indian mystic guru and spiritual leader who created the spiritual practice of dynamic meditation. A controversial leader, he had millions of followers worldwide. Confident and outspoken, he was a gifted speaker who never shied away from expressing his views on various topics, even those considered to be taboo by the conservative society. As per Osho, there is nothing more valuable or precious in the world than love, meditation, and laughter. He though never believed in any one religion but combined elements of many religions such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity. However, he also added new types of meditation practice. His philosophy was a type of that God wasn't everything. He preached that people should basically just do whatever feels good, that attachment to the material object was okay, and that sex was an expression of love that should be explored freely. Thank you.